I am following my birds in the pasture. I am doing a final update on our chickens till butchering day, I believe. So I have videos out on how we cold brooded them, how I made their brooding boxes, then when we put them out into their like chicken tractors and we had them fenced in till now. So about a week ago, we had been talking about letting our birds free range and or moving them by tractors, but we don't exactly have flat land here, so making a tractor that they could have been able to move along with the grass and stuff just wasn't something that was very feasible for us. So we ended up just letting them out in the garden and into our pasture. Right now we have a huge grasshopper problem. We have a lot of grasshoppers and they're doing a lot of damage to our plants. So actually, before we actually thought about free ranging them, my husband just decided to grab a few birds and put them in our greenhouse to eat the grasshoppers, and they went to work. And then he just let them out. And the chickens went into the garden and they started eating all the grasshoppers. I mean, not all the grasshoppers are gone because there's lots of grasshoppers. So we just decided to take down the poultry fencing that we had for them and let them free range and let them find their own food source. We still give them grain, but we let them find their own food source, and they've been doing really, really well. Because our garden is somewhat mature or is maturing, they don't eat a lot of the plants, but it's the protein load of the grasshoppers and worms is so high that they don't need to pick on my plants right now. And there's no really young, vulnerable plants. Although they are scratching quite a bit in the potato beds and the corn beds. So the potatoes and some of the corn might take a little bit of damage due to their scratching. I'm hoping it's okay, but at the same time, we've never done this before, so we're just kind of letting the birds do what they do best, and we will see how much it affects our garden, and then that next year we can make adjustments. But the birds are only going to be here for a few more weeks, and they're doing a lot of good. So what we have set up now, I'll show you. So we moved their house. So they used to be right up there, and we moved them down here. We just fenced in this area. I made a secondary house, which most of them end up coming in here at night. A bunch of them are in there now, proving me wrong, but they like to go under here as well. So they've got two places to go, and they're just surrounded by this poultry netting, which is electric. And they have lots of trees in here, so they're protected from aerial predators. We have noticed up until this point no predators thus far. Although last night we did see signs of a mink, but we don't know if any are missing because we don't know how many our dog has eaten. So it's been a week of them just letting them free range. And they've been going throughout the pasture, they've been going into the greenhouse and into the garden. They have free range wherever they go. So my husband let them loose Friday or Saturday a week ago to help us get rid of the bug load in the greenhouse and some in the garden. And then we just realized what a great idea this was. So we just thought we'd go with it. On Sunday night, we brought home a new puppy. That's an LGD. She's going to be our future farm protector. And of course, our other dog, Cleo, has absolutely no livestock training. And we just really didn't think of our dog being a predator. You know, first year chicken farmers. So she did get one bird, I think the first or second night in. Then we leashed her up and we kept her on a leash. Now we've got a shock collar for her, so now we're doing some training by shock, by sound, and by vibration. We're trying to steer away from the shock because I'm not a big fan of it. And it's doing pretty good. She's sticking to her areas and stuff, but while we were doing the training, she did happen to snatch another one. So we know of 2 birds that have died because of her. We lost 2 chicks at the first week. So we should be at 46 birds, but we can only count 44. So we don't know if last night when a mink came in, if a mink managed to make off with 2 birds, or if we're just missing 2 in a count, because it's really hard to count birds. So we know we're around the 44, 45-ish mark. We personally know that we should be missing 4 birds. Any more we don't know. As far as everything's going, these birds are doing amazing. I really have enjoyed letting them free range. To just see animals working in my yard, eating a bug that is eating my plants that they are going to turn into meat, is pretty awesome. Since they started free range in the garden, their grain, the amount that they eat grain-wise has gone way down. So we're not having to bring as much food in for them. We've actually taken out 1 whole feeding. So they know in the morning they get fed, and in the evening they get fed. And actually we were kind of thinking of taking away that morning feeding and adding it on to the evening feeding so that they would all come home and they'd have plenty to eat in the evening. But we feed our pigs in the morning and they tend to go over to the pig pen and want to eat the pig's food, which is fine, but the pigs are big and they have stepped on the birds. So we're just leaving. We feed them a pail in the morning, we feed them a pail in the evening, and then the rest of the day they are free to do as they wish. But yeah, it's a pretty cool relationship. I feel like having chickens here has definitely added a whole new layer of education, of regeneration to our land. It's added this whole other level that is just really cool to see how everything can really work full circle. They go into the pig pen and they scratch up their manure and they eat the larval load that's in there. So since we have let the chickens out to free range, we have seen the fly count go way down in the pig pen. So that's just really cool that they're now getting rid of a future parasite, and they are beefing up. They're eating something that's very high in protein. They are helping out our garden big time by taking out all of the bad bugs, by eating aphids and grasshoppers. They are, however, scratching up and eating our worms, but they're probably also eating other grubs and stuff that will bring new life to bad bugs in our garden. So that's really awesome. And they are depositing their manure in my garden, which again is another huge bonus. So it's really awesome to have this relationship with an animal that is just doing something that's natural and ingrained in them, but it's providing for me and it's providing for our land. They definitely do drink a lot of water, which can sometimes be annoying because we've got to start a generator to pump out water. We try to be on top of it by having a big pail filled up so we can just refill. But on those days when we don't have the pail filled up, it can just be a little bit of a hassle. But for future, we'll probably just have more waterers. That way we're not having to refill twice or 3 times in a day. We can just fill up once and then there's enough waterers to go around. I have no idea what these guys weigh. We are about 4 weeks in now. And we, besides the dog taking 2 of them and us losing 2 birds at the beginning of the season, we've had no other issues. We didn't have any issues with pasty butt. I don't know what other issues you're supposed to look for with birds. I know that coccidiosis can play a huge part if you don't have ventilation, but our birds have been outside since day 1. So we also have not had that. When an animal is in a pen, cooped up all day, I think that just like a human, they will eat out of boredom. And they may even self-harm themselves out of boredom. But because our birds are free to go as they want, they are getting exercise. They are getting tired because of that exercise. They are eating and